Hot wind whooshed across the sand, but one man kept walking under the blazing sun and towering dunes. Someone was about to meet God, face to face. His name? Moses. Sand, sand, and more sand. The sun blazed above. The Israelites kept walking, but they were tired. So tired, they looked at Moses. But even he was just one man with a walking stick. Could he really lead them through all this sand? Voices started to whisper, "This is hopeless. We should turn back. Why did we leave Egypt?" Even the strong ones were starting to doubt. Was God still with them? Moses could feel the heaviness behind him. He heard their cries, and deep in his heart, he cried too. But Moses remembered something the people had forgotten. God keeps his promises. So Moses turned and started to climb the mountain, step by step, one foot after the other, to talk with God. The journey felt long. The people were tired. But this was just the beginning, because God had something amazing to say. The sky began to grow darker, and long shadows stretched over Moses. Something big was coming. Suddenly, crack! Lightning flashed across Mount Sinai, lighting up the whole mountain like a giant torch. A powerful cloud of fire swirled down from the sky. Moses knew this was no ordinary storm. Thunder boomed again and again. The mountain shook, and the air felt alive with something mysterious. Then, everything went quiet. A deep, mighty voice echoed from inside the storm. Moses held his breath. "I am who I am," the voice said. Each word was so powerful, it felt like the world itself was listening. At the very top of the mountain, a glowing hand reached down from the cloud toward 2 stone tablets. Light burst across the tablets as God's laws began to appear, stone that seemed to write itself. Moses watched in amazement. His heart pounded. He had never seen anything so holy or so powerful. The whole mountain hummed with energy. Sparks floated in the air. It felt like heaven had touched earth. But down in the camp, things were not peaceful. Something strange was happening among the people. Fires roared as the people melted their jewelry. Tiny rivers of gold poured into bowls. But why? A few men pushed the crowd, smiling too widely, urging them on. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. Slowly, the melted gold formed a shape. Taller and taller it grew. The people watched, whispering. Then it was clear. A statue of a calf gleamed in the sun. A new god, but it wasn't the real one. When night came, things only got worse. People gathered around the statue, cheering and shouting. Firelight flickered across their faces as they danced. The joy seemed wild, too wild. The smell of roasting meat filled the air. People drank and cheered, forgetting the God who saved them. Laughter rose louder. Shouts echoed across the desert. No one seemed to remember Moses or God's promise. The people partied through the night, chasing their own fun, not knowing danger was coming. Under the cold desert stars, the camp felt strangely empty, as if something important was missing. High on the mountain, Moses started walking down, the glowing tablets lighting his path like fire. The tablets shined brighter with every step. Moses felt hope rising. God's words were ready to be shared. As Moses reached the camp, he stopped. His eyes widened. Something was terribly wrong. Right in the center of the camp, a golden calf stood tall. People danced around it like they had forgotten everything. Moses' face twisted with hurt and anger. He had never seen the people turn away like this. His hand shook. The tablets, God's own words, seemed to tremble too, as if they felt the betrayal. In a fit of divine rage, Moses raises the tablets high above his head. With a mighty crash, the stone tablets smashed against the ground. The sound echoed like thunder. Pieces flew everywhere, dust rising into the hot air, like the people's promise to God had broken too. Suddenly, everything went silent. No music, no dancing, only fear. People stared at the broken stones, unable to speak. Their celebration disappeared in an instant. Under the blazing sun, Moses faced the crowd, his face full of deep sadness. No one dared to move. The camp felt heavy. Everyone could feel it. Their choices had hurt God and Moses. At last, Moses' voice broke the silence. It shook with pain and disappointment. "How could you betray the very God who delivered you from slavery?" Moses cries, his words echoing through the camp. Later that night, under the starry sky, Moses collapsed to his knees. His heart felt heavier than the mountain. He reached his hands toward heaven, unable to speak, but God could hear everything in his heart. The desert was quiet again, but something powerful was coming next. Tears ran down Moses' face. "Oh, Lord, please forgive your people," he cried. But would God answer? His voice echoed across the empty sand. "Don't leave them, God. They need you." The desert held its breath. Back on the mountain, Moses began carving 2 new tablets. The sun burned hot, but his heart burned brighter. He lifted the new tablets onto his shoulders. They were heavy, but God's promise was heavier still. Moses started climbing once more. Every step was slow. Every step was hard, but he didn't stop. The sun blazed above him like fire. Still, Moses climbed. Something powerful was waiting at the top. From far below, Moses looked like a tiny shadow against the mountain. But he carried a big hope. At the top, the air lit up. God came down in a swirl of glowing cloud. The mountain trembled once more. God's voice rolled across the rocks like thunder, words full of power and full of love. A shining hand reached out again. New laws were carved into the stone as Moses watched, heart pounding. The whole mountain glowed softly. It felt just like the first time, but brighter, like a second chance. The air felt warm with peace. Moses knew God had forgiven his people. Hope was alive again. Sunlight sparkled on the swirling dust around Moses. A new beginning was shining through. With the new tablets in hand, Moses walked down the mountain. Shadows stretched long, but so did hope. He lifted the glowing tablets high. Instantly, everyone grew quiet. Something sacred was happening. "People of Israel," Moses said, his voice ringing out, "God has spoken again." Everyone leaned closer. "These words are written again," Moses said. "Listen closely and understand." Hearts pounded. He shared each command, his voice gentle but strong. The people nodded slowly, taking it all in. Faces softened as they listened. For the first time, they truly understood why God gave these laws. That night, families sat under the stars, warmed by fire and hope. They realized something amazing. Even when they fall, God's love never leaves. Moses stood tall by the firelight, guiding them with God's words. His voice was steady, strong, yet kind. The people now understood. Every command was a gift, a way to stay close to the God who saved them. With eyes lifted to the stars, they listened deeply. Their hearts were open, ready to follow God again. And they learned something they would never forget when we stumble. God's grace always reaches out to lift us. If this story reminded you of God's love, tap the like button. Subscribe to Sparrow Sprout Bible Stories, and share this video with someone who needs hope today.